Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to another scene for the living world of darkness, rage across New York, where 10 Point, not immediately adjacent to Aiden, but within a fairly near vicinity, is down at the lake and has the various makings of Gaia's breath spread out around her. Excuse me. She has a big hunk of clay plopped on the rock to one side of her, and she is sitting cross-legged on a blanket because the rock is fucking cold. Um, and has a number of pots in various states of completion around her, while Aiden is off down the coast of the lake a bit in Lupus. Just well, he's trying to find some Zen over there. Over there. Yeah. So yeah, 10 Point is settled in, and only so long departed from Helena, and is just right back at her work with cold fingers, periodically pausing because wet clay and cold weather are not the best of combinations. Periodically pausing, rinsing her hands in a bucket of likewise frigid water, and then wiping them off and taking up a essentially one of those big kind of silvery coffee travel mugs, holding it in both hands, thawing her fingers out again. And this is what she is up to.
Yeah, and as she is up to this and is probably rather concentrated working and everything, there is all of a sudden there is a face like pretty close, Muhammad face
All of a sudden, there's a
with
Hamid face in her face.
there's a Muhammad face in her face with a lot of blonde curls. Her hair almost as poofy as 10 Points her own hair, except the color is really different. And Pounce is curiously watching, looking at 10 Point, looking at the clay, then looking back at 10 Points, and asking, "What are you doing?"
There will be a comical kind of moment when the face is suddenly in her face, out of nowhere, presumably. And
It's
after,
kind of what she does.
yeah, bringing a hand up and laying it on her chest in the kind of, oh, Jesus, guy preserve me kind of way, she will point to one of the drying little pots. You're making things, Henri. Would you like to try? And she will just kind of claw out a fistful of clay and offer it over.
Yeah, of course she will. Uh, yeah, grab the clay. Probably grab it way too tight, so looks at it, sniffs it, and then like puts it against her nose accidentally because it doesn't smell like much except
It smells like dirt.
earth, earth and dirt. Yeah. So she has now like her nose is now kind of gray from the clay. It's cold, and she pulls it away from her face. It's like, this is not food.
No. She'll twist off another hunk of the clay and start rolling it, mushing it, and finally start shaping it into another small pot for the sake of example. It's very rough, very quick, but just to kind of show her by doing how she can shape it. She will, after a couple moments, mush the pot together into a ball again and begin very quickly, very roughly, twisting, pulling, kneading, and making a very rough little four-legged shape with the tail held out behind it.
And Bounce will try to imitate it as she puts her other hand around the clay and pokes in it with a finger and tries to make it into a ball. But this is something that she is not used to. Her fingers are not used to doing this.
It's kind of a fine dexterity project.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't take very long before she looks rather frustrated that she can't do what 10 Points is doing, and pulls up her nose that still has the clay on it. This is strange. Why do you do this?
And at 10 point, well, I mean, she's got a decent craft score, so even with this not being her focus, she manages to rough out a little clearly identifiable little wolf shape. And it is admittedly still wet and still soft, but we'll kind of plop it right on the just in front of the little blanket so that she can see it. In my case, for making homes for spirits, but it is also fun and it is good practice. It'll get you used to using your hands.
Yes, I need to use hands, but it's weird.
It is. There's a very human thing to make things like this.
Why do they make things like this? Is also for spirits?
They make things for things they want. If, say, that you had a den that was very, very far away from water, but you had something like this, and she'll take one of the little pots, but much bigger. And we'll kind of pull her hands out to kind of gesture a size. And you could go to the lake and you could fill this. And you could take it back to your den so that when you were thirsty, you would have water close. This is why humans do these things. They see that they want something to be easier. They want something to be different. And so they make things to make it different and like they want it.
They could just make den close to lake.
They could. But what if digging close to the lake, every time it rained, their den would flood?
Then they did not build den properly.
She smiles. It's pretty ready little bit of amusement. It's a faint little smile, but it's still there. It's definitely not a teeth showing type of thing. It's not even a very broad one. It's just there's the cue of emotional shift there. Humans are very silly creatures. They make up for what they are not good at by making things. They have always made things.
Yes, they make things. Like fur you take off.
Yes. And she points out to the city. They go too far sometimes. But it is also why they make boxes. They are very bad at digging dens.
Is because these hands are not good with digging. I try.
They are not. But they are very good for grabbing things, for using things.
Bobs doesn't look completely convinced at that, but
It takes practice. Most of them, they start when they are very, very small, using their hands. You have not had as much time. You will get better at it.
yes. So why you make home for spirits?
Have you seen a guy's breath? Do you know what one is?
No.
And she will, as she did with Helena, will reach into her swag and pull out a finished Talon. Again, this is for the sake of, you know what I'm talking about. This is one of Talate's Talons. The only variance is that she adds little border lines with a very subtle little Celtic knot in the border, but it's still the same symbols she was shown. It's still the same white and blue paint. And she will offer that over to her. Corked and everything.
And again, Pounce will take it. There's now also fresh clay on this little jar, pot, whatever. And then she'll sniff it. And she'll shake it.
It's kind of a little cringe, but it's not going to hurt anything. It's just like, oh, why? This is a home for a water spirit, but only a very temporary home. If you were to have one of your packmates injured, say you were fighting and they took a very bad blow, if you took this and you either used your gnosis, your connection to Gaia, to tell it that you needed something, or fed gnosis to the spirit inside, it would heal your packmate. That is why it is in this little home. It is a place for it to stay until it does this favor for you. And then it leaves. And goes back.
Is what? No, I have not seen. Why you'd not do this day before when you had wound, when you had blood?
I had. But my wound was more than one spirit could heal. So I healed it most of the way. And like you heal faster in different shapes, I heal fast in every shape. It would have only taken a day to heal. So I decided that instead of using a spirit or using gnosis and a gift, it was simpler, unless there was a threat, to heal it naturally.
Was I threat?
She draws in a breath and takes up a thoughtful expression, tilting her head a bit. You did not try to bite me. You did not try to claw me. But you did scare me. And while you may not have hurt me on purpose, if you had stepped upon my stomach, or if I had thrashed very hard trying to get away from you while I was afraid, it could have made the wound rip. It could have made it worse. That is why my alpha became very angry. That, and even if you were looking and sniffing, you did still pounce, which is a thing that we do to prey. My alpha is very active. Sorry, I was what?
I was practicing.
Practicing is good. But knowing when is the time to practice is important too.
I am cub is always time to practice. Always time to learn.
It is always time to learn. But if you continue to do something like that to members of the sept that outrank you, that are of higher position and higher standing, sooner or later they will lose their patience and you will get bitten. And while maybe with wolf cubs it is little snaps to remind you that you are a cub, if one of us snaps at you and our teeth connect, it's going to be much worse. And there's no sense in taking injuries that you don't need to. It is best if you practice with your packmates, not with those of higher rank. Not unless they know.
She looks mildly disappointed, but decides to skip the subject altogether, having heard what she needs to hear, and we'll look back at the talon that she's still holding and hands it back to 10-point. Is this what is called talon?
And she will nod, and actually, as she goes to gesture to hand it back, will actually reach out with a hand and curl her fingers around it a little more firmly and push it back towards her. Hold on to it. You may need it, or one of your packmates may need it.
I do not have pockets. And my coat is with Jacob. He is cleaning it. There was a lot of blood.
She nods understanding and will flick open her swag, reach into it. First taking a moment to rinse her hands in the bucket, but will then reach into it and produce a length of leather cord, just kind of biting it short to whatever length she needs, and will, through the small loop in the clay pot, will string that and tie a rough knot. And then just kind of, making sure that Pounce isn't startled by the gesture, will just kind of flick it up and over her head so that it dangles at a good length. Like, this is not tied around her neck by any means. It's just hanging there, probably down, down at chest level.
She looks down at it and looks back up. This works.
Firm knot.
And actually, I forgot to mention, but yeah, she's not wearing a coat, so she's simply wearing a t-shirt and a pair of pants, and she does wear shoes though. But
She does or doesn't?
Does.
Okay, thank goodness. It's pretty cold to be tromping around in the snow barefoot.
It
Even
is.
10 points wearing shoes.
Yeah, no, it's definitely cold. It's also pretty cold to like walk around without a coat.
It is. Is she shivering?
Mm-hmm. Probably. She tried to hide it though, but yeah.
Would you like to shift?
I need to learn to be Homid.
And she'll start shrugging off her jacket for today. Helena's already got one of them. Part of learning to be Hamid is learning that your skin is not enough here.
But then you get cold.
I can get another.
And yeah, she'll take the jacket.
It's even already warm because it was being worn a moment ago.
That's so nice.
She like snug up in it and everything like, yes.
Oh, yeah. Like her eyes close for a moment and you see that happy expression of like, oh.
At some point we'll go ahead and start getting herself up, pulling a little incense censer out of her bag, walking around her. And well, as I remember to
confused.
end and open my scenes. Uh, 60, 10, 7F1. And basically what she'll do is she'll get up, she'll light this strange metal ball on a chain that has holes in it so that smoke comes out. But it smells funny. Kind of like how she always smells funny. And it's enough of a smell that even her Hamid nose will pick it up. And she will walk 3 times around her one direction, 3 times the other, 3 times the first direction again. And then muttering prayers. She'll actually be holding a string of beads that she shuffles through her fingers with the other hand. And once she is done, we'll sit down again and take up a handful of snow and use it to snuff out the incense and begin putting things back in her bag. There. Now it will not tear if you need to change.
Yes. I see. Then Father do this when I got closed.
Yes. It does help not to lose them.
Why you do this?
I do this so that the spirits know that when you are moving, when you are changing, when you are crossing the gauntlet, they see the things that you are wearing as if they are part of you. so that they stay with you.
Can I do that too?
You can learn, yes. Though it will probably be harder until you're a Cleath. For now, you can learn smaller things, easier things.
Can you teach?
Of course, Henri.
Is not Andre. I am Pounce.
You are
Say
Pounce. You have learned to say Raya, yes?
yes.
Raya means one who is higher ranking than me. Henri means one that is lower ranking than me. Yuff
Oh,
means one who is the same rank as me.
and the look of hey, sorry, there's a kitty.
Mm-hmm.
No kitty. There is a kitty. Come on. The look of like, oh my god, making it more difficult again is visible on Pounce's face, but she she'll
Yuff and
not.
Henri are older words. They will not expect you to use those words. You do not have to worry about it. But now you know what they mean. Raya is the one that is important. Well, to most of them. I think it is important to say something that is respectful even to you. So I say Henri.
Respect is not in words. Respect is in acting.
It is. But I have seen how you act. At least with your pack mates. I approve of it.
Mm. Packmates are very humid.
They are. And they do not understand
They,
what pack means, maybe. But seeing the way you act will teach them.
they keep saying I do not listen. They think I am silly. I think they are silly. But they are still pack.
It is easy to hear and not to listen, but I was not there for these things, so I could not say.
Mm.
But we can see how well you listen. I will teach you a very simple thing to do. It will not change people's clothes to match them. It will not do some of these other things, but it will be very good for you. I have taught this to Desmond. I am teaching it to Helena now.
And yeah, Bounce will simply plunk her ass down on the ground. Snow and all.
At some point,
Um,
we'll have a bit of spare blanket. So when she starts doing that, like that glance down about to plop, 10 point will like pat the blanket to offer it.
and she will plop on the blanket.
It is
I not have a very
definitely
cold ass.
it's a slightly less cold butt, which is really
Yes.
these things work wonders for people's moods. So she will pat it, and when she plunks down, this is going to seem very easy. But when you are upset, when you need a moment to think, when you need a moment to find calm, even if you do not need these moments, once every day, I want you to stand in the grass, to put your head in the air, feel the wind, feel Gaia, and I want you to breathe in and out 13 times. You know what 13 is?
I know 10 is number. They
Yes.
still need to teach me more numbers.
And so she will hold out her hands for the sake of example, and splay all of her fingers. This is 10. So 13 is this. And then she'll clasp her hands shut and open 3 fingers one after another, and 3 more.
13 is 10 and 3.
Yes. So that many
Sorry, I'm getting
times.
some distractions here. God damn it.
So that many times, you will breathe deeply in and deeply out and feel Gaia.
And yeah, she'll stand up as 10 Point basically suggested, and she'll look up at the sky and standing there just for a moment is like, okay, and then like goes to start audibly breathing like
Hey, it works.
and yeah.
It's not very serene, but it works.
No, definitely not very serene.
By the time she looks down again, 10 Point may or may not have a hand covering her mouth because, well, her enthusiasm is to be is to be commended.
Was 10 and 3 breaths.
And she nods approvingly. Every day you will do this. And bring yourself closer to Gaia.
And why is every day?
Because this is when it must be done. Every day you should take time anyways to feel closer to Gaia. Doing this will help you to resonate with her, and when the time comes that you need her support the most, she will reach out to you.
How?
She will help you to hold here. Among other things, Gaia heals. She has made us. She makes us whole. So when there's a time that someone must be made whole, this connection will help you to do that more easily. She'll flow through you. Many will hold this close to themselves until such time as their life is on the line. And when they need her most, Gaia will reach through them and help them to regenerate when they are on the verge of death and in their greatest need.
This is good. I will do every day.
She nods. It's very good.
Is this also a Homet thing?
This is a Guru thing.
Why do Guru do this and not Homet do this?
For the same reason that Guru do this and wolves do not do this. We are tied to the spirits. The wolves are not as close to the spirits as we are. The humans are not part spirit like we are. They don't have this connection to Gaia like we do. So they could stand and breathe and try all day, but they would not be able to feel their connection to Gaia, not like we can.
It's also why I can understand what you say.
Yes.
Other than how Wolf can understand you.
Exactly.
But Lupus kin that I have, that are in forest now, they do not think like I do, and like you all do.
They do not
They
think with
still think,
words, no.
no, they still think Werewolf. But they are kin. They are family.
They are. And they're important.
It's very difficult.
I'm sure it must be. Doing this means that humans must learn to think in a different way. But for you, doing this means that you have to learn to think in words. It's much harder.
I do not know if it's harder. How was it for you?
She offers up a helpless shrug. I did not have to learn anything new. This is all I know. I do not know how to think like a human or to think like a wolf. I have always been Guru.
What is that like? Always be Garu.
Her brow knits somewhat. I think that in some ways it is easier to know from the very beginning. Though the people around me, the guru around me, the kin around me, made it harder. But I
They
have
did
always
not like
known
you.
Gaia and Luna.
Yes.
And I have
They did
always
not
known.
like you.
No. Do you know the litany?
Yes. You are Metis.
Yes.
But I do not understand why not like you. You are Metis. You are strong. I think I have not fought you.
I am Guru, yes. But when you look at me, you know that two Guru have broken the litany. And at least one of them has died. I cannot make more Guru. And my being born means that there is at least one other that will never again be able to strengthen the nation. Their actions will never be made again in Gaia's name. They will never bear more children after me. I am an end of something.
Mm.
And you have seen things that are worm tainted, yes?
Mm, yes.
Have you seen how the worm makes things into monsters? How it twists their bodies?
Yes.
And she just kind of reaches up and just lightly touches a finger to her antlers. Back home, where the things that we understand are very old, we first learned to recognize the worm because it twisted the body. Back before we knew other ways, it was sure that if something was twisted and wrong, not as Gaia made it, it was of the worm. And all metis, in some way, are twisted.
But you do not smell like bad
No.
place.
No. I believe that, well, first let me explain something to you that is very important, Pounce. Not everything that is of the worm is worm tainted. You understand what I mean by that?
No.
What it means is that right now, if I wanted to, I could walk out into the city. I could walk out into the woods. And I could kill every living thing I came across. Everything. And then when I was finished, I could turn around and I could walk right back onto this sept. And the wards would not see that I was worm tainted. But you understand that to go and to kill for pleasure is wrong. It is a wormish thing to do.
Please. I don't understand why kill for pleasure. What is pleasure of kill?
It is bad. It is a very
Yes.
wormish thing to do. To kill for no reason.
It's a human thing to do.
Many humans are touched by the worm and don't know it. Even in very small ways. Many of them will do things that are wrong and are things that are urges that the worm gives. But it does not mean that they will always be tainted. So, while I am not tainted, the fact is that my parents did something that they knew was wrong. The worm whispered temptation, and they fell to it, and they made me. So while I will not smell like the worm, the worm's influence, wormish urges, were still involved in my making. This is why they do not like me. I remind them of the worm. I remind them of the end of a family, of a bloodline. I remind them of bad things.
You are end of bad thing happening. But you are not bad thing.
I try not to be a bad thing. I try very hard.
If you were bad thing, then they would have killed you.
They almost did kill me. Most metis back in my home are killed. Because many metis do fall to the worm. They dance the spiral. It's easier. And we hear that call and that temptation, and too many of us answer it. But I am very lucky. Tilts her head. What is?
What is dancing the spiral?
Her lips firm into a line. To dance the spiral, Onrai, is... Have you been told what a black spiral dancer is?
Is Garu who is working for Worm.
Yes.
And not for Nation.
It is a Garu who has heard the call of the worm, and heard the temptation, and given into it. They serve the worm because they choose to. And when they go to serve the worm, They do what is called dancing the spiral. It is how they become what they are. It is how they make themselves of the worm.
I thought they would use injections.
Blink? Use what?
When in bad place, they use injections.
To make things of the worm.
They made brother mad. They made others bad as well. I thought that's how Black Spiral Dancer would be.
It is a human way to make a thing of the worm, even if it wants to fight back. It is a way to put the worm in them. But not all injections are bad things. The worm has taken what humans made and made it twisted and bad. There are... What injections are supposed to be for is to give healing. But the worm uses it to give corruption. When you become a Black Spiral Dancer, they do not make you become a Black Spiral Dancer. They do not put something in your body to corrupt you. You go of your own free will, and you dance. And you walk down the spiral. It is very different.
Good.
We mourn those who fall to the worm in a way that is outside of their power to fix, or to change, or to fight. But we do not mourn Black Spiral Dancers. They are there because they choose to be, and because they want to be. No matter what reasons they may have, what things they suffered before they danced. It is never forgivable to choose to walk down and to embrace the worm.
I will kill them too.
She nods firmly. In agreement.
What is your tribe?
I'm Fiona. Like Aiden.
Yes. He says you are passionate.
We are.
You are not wild.
She kind of smirks. Not wild.
Not like he is.
No.
Why not?
Pride and passion can be shown in many different ways, Andre. Myraya does everything passionately. He does it with every bit of energy in his body. He does it loudly. He does it big. And I may be quieter, and I may seem softer. But I do feel passionately about what I've been taught, about what is my way. I feel passionately about doing the best that I can. I have to make up for 3 lives. And so while I am not loud, I work hard. I work hard not because I have to, but because I want to and I need to. That is what I do passionately. I serve my pack as their omega passionately. I go to the spirits and I appeal to them passionately. But I am still an
Yes.
omega. I do not forget this. I have learned to be very quiet.
I can be quiet too.
You are
Like
much better at being quiet than I am.
yes. If you want, I can teach you be quiet.
I am getting a little better. A little. That is not where my focus is, but I do try, for my Raya's sake. I know it frustrates him when we go on missions, when we go on hunts, and I cannot be as quiet. I find my own way.
Mm.
And I will not be as loud in being proud as my Raya, as my Beta. But I am proud of what I accomplish. And I am proud of my ability to move within the nation without creating fights, without creating discord. I am proud that I am able to be humble. I know my role, and I do it well, and I'm proud of that.
Yes. It's still very complicated.
It
But
is.
thank you for lesson. See, I listen.
Hmm?
I can listen.
You can. When you want to. Kind of teasingly turns a glance aside.
She cocks her head as if she's like almost ready to protest and then stops and says yes when I want to. Sometimes lesson is long and many words. And I cannot listen anymore to words.
I think it is also important, just as important as listening, is understanding who is listening. You have to talk in a way they understand, and I am trying to do this for you.
Yes. Homid say thank you.
They do. They also say you're welcome.
I'm welcome for what?
It is simply what is said when you thank someone.
Oh,
They say back you're welcome, meaning that you are welcome to the kind things that they have done, that you are thanking them for. It is the polite answer.
Chloe says I need to learn etiquette.
You are not the only one. But you are listening, and I am sure you are learning.
Yes.
You might try learning to say things like hello and goodbye.
Hello.
She actually laughs a little bit. I know that you like to practice, but it is much more polite to say hello to someone than to sneak up on them. It is also polite to say goodbye before you leave, so that they know that you are leaving.
So you say hello to let others know you are there.
To let them know you are there, and to engage them. It is a way to not only tell them you are there, but to say that you mean to talk to them, or that you mean to ask them something, that you mean to interact with them. If you were to walk up to someone and not say hello and to continue walking, that is one thing. But if you say hello as you are walking up, they will stop and they will look at you and they will expect to be spoken to.
So if I do not want to speak, I just walk on. And if I do want to speak, I say hello.
Even if you do not want to speak, do not forget to show throat. But saying hello is a good way to let them know that you do wish to talk, and that you wish to engage them.
Is good to know. And goodbye is for going away.
Yes.
Okay. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Pounce.
Then Bounce will stand up and we'll walk off.
And yeah, 10 Point will promptly go back to what she was doing, if only to prove the point that at this point she expects her to leave, and following that word. And with that very simple parting of ways, I think we can say thank you, players, for playing and watchers for watching, and I will see you next time on the Living World of Darkness Rage Across New York.